It's almost August, and it's been quite a while since I have posted a video, and I figured, well, we should do a quick little update just so that you guys know that still here, still working on things. So when I was coming up with a plan for the irrigation system, I really wanted to make sure that I did it as simple as possible, not having to tear up the yard with trenching or anything like that. So I came up with a plan to actually mount a lot of my irrigation heads on top of structures that are already existing in the yard, and then just use surface mount piping where possible to connect those. So this is an excellent example here where I have this post that's been set up for watering the garden, and I have a couple of control valves in here that are used to control the different zones. So one of those valves does this sprinkler head here. I do have one that controls in the top of the septic field. Yeah, I do water the septic field because the kind of bottom ring around it gets water from the effluent that's pumped in there, but the top usually dries out and it would go completely dormant again. So this again will keep that grass growing nice and strong. So yeah, there's another valve for that. Third valve just covers the garden area here. So I've tried to use any existing underground piping that I have in place. So there is a line that goes from that post there. It runs underground. Basically, I just teed off so that I can go up to another set of valves and a manifold at the corner of the fence there. And then this one here valve, it goes off to just a spigot at the corner of the yard that I use for just running a manual sprinkler. This is the valves and the manifold just at the corner of my little storage compound. And I tried to do this as simple as possible. Like I said, I didn't want to do a bunch of trenching or anything. So I just mounted all of these sprinkler heads at the top of the fence posts. So I have one here, there's one just down at the corner there, one at the other corner of the fence. And by having the sprinkler head raised up about 5 feet, it actually increases the ability for that head to throw. So we're able to get about 45 feet of radius with these based on the nozzle that I have in there, the pressure and the flow. It's actually working pretty good. So by doing this, I'm able to cover some pretty substantial areas around the yard without really having to disturb anything. So we'll take a look around the corner here, and this again is another one of my sprinkler heads. This one's probably at a good 6 feet actually, and it's able to reach all the way to the corner there. It's actually covering this little grassy knoll in the yard, and then it overlaps with the other one at the corner there. So this whole area is actually covered quite well. And then off in the corner by that tall black spruce, I actually have a ground mounted pop-up sprinkler just because there's no good place for anything to mount the sprinkler on. So I just figured, okay, we'll just pop it in the ground, keep it concealed so that when I'm clearing snow and stuff in the winter, it doesn't get in the way. And I don't know if you can tell here, but there is a little bit of a scar from when I trenched that in, but it's actually healed up quite well. Having the irrigation to water the grass, to heal it up, it works really beautifully. So that turned out good. And then basically it pops out of the ground at this corner, and then I just surface ran it around the little compound here with all the other piping. Here again is another one of these sprinkler heads. This one is set to do probably about a 270 degree pattern. Again, just mounted on the pole. Pipe is just surface mounted. It's actually in all of this grass here that I just leave this grass here. I don't worry about trimming it down. It actually kind of looks nice in the yard. But yeah, it's just surface mounted, and it goes to another manifold located at the corner of the fence here. Now, I've always had a manifold here, but it's never really been a irrigation control, so I added a couple of valves here. And then because I didn't want to go and trench in another cable, I did a short on this, but I just run the control cable through the water feed line, and then I use these liquid tight connectors, and that's a great way to add a cable through a pipe when you don't want to have to disturb anything. So this one actually provides connectivity for that head that we just looked at a moment ago. And then it controls this one right here. And then there was an existing line that actually went from this manifold out to kind of the southern boundary of the property. And what I ended up doing is, again, tapping into it, and I put 3 stations. Now I have one here, one midway down, and one at the end of the yard. And basically these are set for 180-degree arcs, and they cover right up to about midway in the yard here. And because they're all on the same line and they're the same valve, I have to run a smaller nozzle, so just end up running these longer to be able to achieve the same precipitation rate. No big deal. If you were to run 3 sprinklers for an hour, or all 3 sprinklers for 3 hours, it basically gives you the same net result in the end. So that's kind of what I have going on here. So in total, this is the whole east side of the property, I have 1, 2, 3 valves here. I have 3 valves at the corner of the garden, and I have 4 valves at the corner of the little compound. So in total, we have 10 zones of control, and I'll show you how I control these now. I didn't want to use a conventional irrigation controller. I find that just orchestrating all of the zones over the days and the time and all that, it becomes a little bit of a hassle. And the reason it becomes a hassle is for some scenarios, the way I have it set up right now. I'll give you an example. The sprinkler on the septic field, it runs in 360 degrees, so it just keeps going around and around. And if I have another sprinkler like the one at the corner of the fence here, it's doing 3/4 of a circle, so 270 degrees. I want to scale them so that when I run either of those, the areas that they're covering gets the same amount of precipitation. So I do a scaling factor. So I'll show you on the controller in a minute, but what I do is if I have a run time of 1 hour for a 360-degree sprinkler, I have a run time of 75% of that 1 hour, so that basically this zone here would get 45 minutes of run time. And I've applied that same methodology to all of the irrigation heads around here, just so that we're trying to get an even amount of precipitation applied to the yard. So we'll take a look in the shed here, and I will show you what I've got going. And I mentioned that it is a little bit more than a typical irrigation controller. And what we have here is a 16 relay or a 16 channel control board that talks to my Home Assistant instance, and it is connected to Home Assistant via RS485. So I have a single pair out of a Cat5 that goes from the shed here into another zone, or another, control box like this in the house with another 16 control zones. And basically this gives me independent zone control for every sprinkler head in the yard. And then it's basically just powered off of a 24-volt AC transformer that feeds this little guy here, which is just a voltage regulator. It provides 12 volts that the control board needs to open and close the relays, but all of the actual irrigation valves are 24 volts AC, so this is just feeding 24 volts into the contacts of the relays, and then we're opening and closing those for however long we want. And that's all being driven, of course, like I said, by Home Assistant. Now I know you're thinking, wow, that's a pretty labor intensive irrigation system. Yes and no. Like I said, I wanted to try and do this as simple as possible, so I used, like I said, the service mount piping. I used any of the existing structures in the yard so that I could avoid having to trench in. And then I'm using any of the existing piping that's in place so that I don't have to really disturb the yard any more than I need to. And really we just wanted to have a bit of a proof of concept, so that if I were to go and cover the whole property with in-ground pop-up sprinklers, I would know what the limitations are of those irrigation heads and what kind of run times I need. So I'm finding right now with the whole property, I end up running from about 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. 6 days a week. And Of course, all the different zones are scaled, so you know, some of the smaller zones might only run for 20 minutes. The larger zones I have running upwards of about 75 minutes. So it's, like I said, a proof of concept to see if this is actually going to work. It's going to be sustainable to keep the yard in a healthy state without having to do too much. But overall, I'd say it's working quite well, so I'm pleased from that perspective. And it looks like if I were to, let's say, increase this or augment it, it's just going to get better from here. So we're out at the west side of the property now, and basically that one controller in the shed there controls everything on the east side of the property. At the west side, the controller's actually inside the house. That's kind of the best location for it, but I have two manifolds again, basically one manifold here with 4 valves. There's another manifold right at the corner of the house there. And let's take a look quickly at what this corner manifold is feeding. So kind of midway along this fence here, right there, there is one 360-degree sprinkler head. I have another one mounted right at the corner here, and that's another 360-degree head. And directly behind us, so it's kind of hard to see, but I have a couple mounted at the perimeter of the yard again. So there's 2 that are on the same zone. They're actually split with a Y right at this tree here, so that covers kind of the southern part of the yard. And then we have further up again at this corner here, not at the corner fence post, but the one just after it, we have another sprinkler head here. So at the corner right here is one sprinkler head. I have another one, it's tucked in right in front of the deck there, that's covering 180 degrees. So basically that one sprinkler right there, it can reach about 3/4 the way across. It doesn't reach the whole way, which is okay, but by the time I get this one just in front of the deck working, we're getting plenty of overlaps. There's no kind of dead areas where that we're not getting any watering done, so that turned out really nicely. And so here is one of these pop-ups. There are 3 of these in the yard right now, and so there's one here, one at the front of the driveway, that's the one that I didn't want to get hit by the snowplow, and then one on the septic field. And these are a little bit pricier. I think these are about $35 each. They work really well. They are the exact same impact sprinkler that I have on all the fence posts. It's made by Rainbird. It's called the P5, and the nice thing about them is they have a nozzle that you can switch that basically determines what the flow rate is. So there's a number 6, number 8, number 10, number 12, and basically that just determines what your flow rate is based on how much pressure you have available in the system to actually run a sprinkler head. So right now all of these have the number 10 nozzle in them, so that you get a pretty decent amount of coverage. And so this is basically it. I've used these on the little ground spike for watering the yard for many years. I'm going to say for about 10 years. These are an absolutely killer impact head. Far superior, I would say, to a rotor, where the throw and the volume of water for these is fantastic. And they can even deal with a little bit of junk too in the water. So if you're using not perfectly clean or filtered water, they do really well for those kind of conditions. So yeah, this is the one that covers basically all the way from the fence there, all the way behind me, up to the front corner of the yard there. So this is one of those 270-degree arcs, and again, it's doing a really good job. There's a little bit of a dry spot up in the corner right there where that sprinkler head kind of times out. I'd say this one that's right beside me here, it could probably just hit the trailer full of topsoil, but not much further. So one potential change or addition would be to put another head maybe somewhere out there just to cover a 180-degree arc and finish covering the yard. So we're at the side of the house here. This is where I have my last manifold. So these 3 cover that one out in the yard there, the one at the corner of the house, and the one just behind the deck there. So I would like to add one more so that I could cover another zone, like I said, further down by the road there, but that shouldn't be an issue on adding that in. And then the cabling here, you can see I have my little watertight connection there. That is to get a control to cable all the way out to that corner manifold way out in the yard there. So here is the controller that I have in the house. It's identical to the one out in the garage, or sorry, the shed. It's doing the same thing. It's actually connected with the same pair of wires on RS485 out to the shed. So it goes from my server that runs Home Assistant to here, then from here out to the shed, and that's the RS485 bus. So these are actually running, it's called Modbus RTU, and it's a pretty simple protocol that you can provision in Home Assistant. Basically, you send a hexadecimal code to any of the addresses on this relay board, and basically when you send a code to a particular address, it turns the relay on. You send the off code to that relay address, it turns the relay off. So it works really well. Nice thing, it gives you status feedback, so you can tell in Home Assistant whether these relays are open or closed. You're not just blindly sending commands, you're actually getting a response saying yes, that this relay has closed, yes, that this relay has opened. So it gives you a little bit of certainty as to your control for the system. So that's really all I have to go over. And really the point of this video was to touch on a couple projects that I've been working on over the past couple months, and to give you a little update just so that you know, yeah, things are still happening around here, just at a much slower pace. And once fall and winter come around, we get into the personal track vehicle, get the mini snowcat out and start to tinker on those again. But until we get to that, I'll continue to post little updates on projects that I have going on around the house here. But until then, hope that you are having a great summer. Make sure that you are safe out there. Try and spend time with your family and friends. And thanks for watching.